JP just found the loophole of how we bring our own class action lawsuit against all airports.
Or I bring my food truck in the airport and I start selling my own food.
I think that would be a red flag.
I don't know if that'll fly.
No pun intended. I dig your spirit.
It's a new frontier.
Yo! Oh, man.
At least we're all united on this.
This podcast is not financial advice. It is for entertainment purposes only. Get ready to laugh your assets off because this is the Lighter Side of Finance podcast. Now here's your host, Billy C.
It's the lighter side of finance, and we actually made it back for another episode. So we're really excited about this week's topic, which I think is definitely going to hit home. So we'll talk about that in a few. But first, let me, well, it's better that we not start out, with anyone going to jail.
Bill, do you have something you want to tell us? Hitting close.
No. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide. I'm an open book, transparency all the way here. But what is not transparent is our panelists, and we have Tara Jean O'Brien. And Tara, I noticed on your TikTok recently, your real profession, maybe sanitation, is in your future.
How dare you? Yeah, no, TikTok and the filters, they don't like my face, is what I'll say over and over again. I'll use those fun filters. And this one was like, what is your real profession? And it morphed me from like, I had my makeup on, I was getting ready to do an audition, into a garbage person. I mean, I am a garbage person. I just don't take the garbage out. So maybe it really does know who I am.
And then we have with us Clem Jameson. Clem, I see lots of things happening. Quick Draw is like growing, I see.
It is. We're shocked just as much as everybody else. We started this podcast like 2 months ago and people are actually listening to it. So, we didn't have very high expectations, but you know what? Sometimes things work out. And if not, I can always go back to being a garbage man.
See?
Well, maybe you and Tara should hook up. Yeah.
There's two sides to my truck, baby.
She's got her own truck too. I like this.
Thanks.
All right. And JP Lambiase is here with us once again. And I know that the latest that JP's been getting into is he's gotten the pickleball craze.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. If you're not pickleballing, you're not retired.
Yes, and that's the famous paddle behind you there.
Yeah. This is the infamous $280 pickleball paddle, and my sister invoiced me $291 for tax. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Well, speaking of apples falling far from the tree, this is right up your alley, JP. Our theme for this week, financial crimes, is our topic for this week. But you know what? It's best, though, that we identify that the financial crimes happen. They may not all be, executed by JP.
I am one that has so much integrity. I am one that is all about honesty, but I do see how the mind can warp and work its way into finding some loopholes, which I, for one, am against. Unless it's legal. It's a legal loophole. That's on them.
Right,
Allegedly.
exactly. Allegedly.
Yeah.
So, Tara, when you think of financial crimes, what exactly comes to mind other than JP?
When I go to dinner and my husband asks me to pay, that is a financial crime. That is not nice. I don't like it. He should. No. My current bank account balance, financial crime. That's not very nice either. I don't love that. But actual financial crimes, like, here's what I say is like a legal financial crime is student loan interest. I don't feel like all this crazy stuff with the non-federally backed student loan interest, that feels like a financial crime to me.
I found a way around that one, though. Just don't go to college.
Boom. See?
Problem solved. It worked for me.
I needed you back then, Clem.
That's financial advice.
Boom.
Yes.
It's not. It's entertainment only.
For entertainment purposes only. Now, but speaking of Clem, what are some common financial crimes by companies or individuals, do you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's money laundering, which is just a dirty way to, clean your money. There's tax evasion, but honestly, that's just too taxing for me. The counterfeiting, which is just a bad way to make money. I mean, let's be honest. Market manipulation, which is why this little piggy can't go to the market anymore. Insider trading, which is illegal unless you're a politician. There's identity theft, which could all be avoided if, you just listen to your mom's advice and just be yourself. And I was actually the victim of a pump and dump scheme for stocks a couple years back.
Sorry,
they pumped.
Clem.
Yeah, I know. They pumped. I was a chump. Then they dumped, and now I'm broke. So that pretty much explains my life right there.
I told you to sell a week before you did, but it's okay.
I know, but you were also the one selling me the stuff. So Ride
the wave. You got to ride the wave.
But, with that, I think JP would probably know some of the red flags that a company should look out for as to why they might be investigated.
Ignorance. I think ignorance is something that you should be worried about. If you got someone that's lack of knowledge, because you could create a financial crime just because you don't know what you're doing. And then the one that I would say Clem was a victim of would be, like spammy newsletters of penny stocks. That seems like a kind of a red flag to me, And then, of course, I think everyone says this, if it's too good to be true, right? There's something to be said about that. All right. Let's use our common sense right now. We as humans, we like getting fed the dopamine rush of a quick win, but a lot of scammers play off of our emotions, so they are easily can manipulate us. I'm also worried for the elderly. I feel like they are our target as well. And a lot of these people have mastered this. They know the market in which people have money and they can take it from those people based on understanding, data. So these masterminds, as horrible as they are, the ones that do it successfully get away with it. Number one red flag, and here's the comedy part. Number one red flag. Women, okay? There's the first date.
How dare you?
There's the first date. Wait, hear me out. Hear me out, Tara. I think you'll agree with this.
I don't.
There's the first date, which we have to pay for regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we want a second date. And then after the second date, we have to pay for that. And then guess what? We have to subsequently pay everything up until marriage, right? And then divorce happens. Boom, they take 50%.
Okay, but
I just do think that's a financial crime. That's all. Nothing against women. All. Just red flag.
It's called you're paying for what it's worth, right? Like our payment.
It's a service. You're right. You're like hand and stone massage.
Oh, that's right.
You're like, yeah. You are a nice time.
You're telling me I'm a timeshare. I'm a timeshare.
Not you specifically. I don't think.
There's a scam to get out of that too.
Yeah.
I have to preface though. I did just end an ugly 10-year relationship, so it's a little bit. It's coming from a place, okay? It's coming from a place.
Coming from an angry place. I would say a red flag is paying $290 for a pickleball racket. That's I would say it's a red flag.
You should paint a red flag on it. That would be amazing.
That'd make it more valuable.
Yeah.
Move this.
We'll be back with more from our panelists after this. Now it's time for the scam of the week with an actual British person. Here's Gareth P. Morris.
Good day. I'm a British person from Britain. And today it's my scam of the week. I was contacted by a fake account pretending to be my own father-in-law this week who wished to sell me an exciting investment opportunity. Now, I haven't fell for crypto yet, so I'm not going to fall for this. I'm glad he impersonated somebody that I knew quite well, otherwise I may have fallen for it. So, therefore, I want to give those scammers my 3 top tips for scamming me. Number 1, check your spelling and grammar, scammers. Why would you spell colour without a U? It's just a bit weird, isn't it? Number 2, do your background homework. You don't want to create a fake account for my dad? I know exactly what you're trying to do. And 3, especially don't pick a family member who's currently incarcerated for tax fraud. I know he's not got access to Facebook. Right, I hope you enjoyed my top tips. Now I'm going to go and play cricket. Shh, can I tell you a secret? No one knows how to play cricket. It's all gibberish. We make it up. Bye.
Thank you, Gareth. Now let's get back to the lighter side of finance.
We are excited to have our guest with us this week who knows a lot more about this stuff than we do. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of loopholes for us to find in all of these stories. But our guest is Stephen Prince, and he's the director of compliance, but he was previously an investigator of financial crimes.
Ooh.
So now we can give Stephen Prince the permission to unmute his microphone and join the discussion. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, thanks, guys. I feel like there's nothing I can add. You guys know everything there is to know about crime.
All right, that was a short show, everybody.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for that was great. Thanks,
You did
Stephen.
it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
In all seriousness, though, Stephen, what exactly is a financial crime? Did we have it right? Were we on the money?
With
Yeah,
my
you
bank,
hit
my bank
most of them.
account is a financial crime. That's right.
Yeah, you guys hit most of them. But I will say those are like large schemes that you usually see, in big corporations. And I would say most of the financial crimes is going to be one-off ones that you never hear of. And there may be like little finance companies or, people trying to scam, maybe older people and investing in something that doesn't exist anymore. So really the big ones like fraud, bribery, embezzlement, those are the ones that you didn't hit. Somebody said identity theft, which I was pretty impressed with that. So that's good. And a big one actually is mail fraud that you'll see a lot. And the reason is because the federal government doesn't necessarily have, this would be like the FBI or the IRS going after somebody. They don't really have like fraud, like core fraud charge, like criminal charge. So if you do a scheme, if you're involved in a criminal scheme and it goes over state lines, meaning like you mail a contract or you mail something, then it becomes mail fraud. And that's when the federal government can get involved in all the resources there. So.
Well, that's weird because I wouldn't have thought of mail fraud as being a financial crime, but it clearly is. And it goes right with what JP said earlier, of female fraud. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I see what you did there.
I veto that joke.
Yeah, Tar is a great equalizer here. So
That's right. Well, Stephen, let me ask you this. So this actually, now that you say that, I didn't think about this. I'm going to tell the story, not because it makes me look great, but it's true. I mailed a check in to a rescue mission, a local rescue mission, and I do it like every Thanksgiving or Christmas, whatever. I'm a great person. But this year, I sent in a physical check, and it got stolen en route to them, and they took my check and they committed check fraud. Like that was 2023. I didn't think that was even still a possibility anymore.
Yeah, it's still, and actually, I mean, I don't know. I've been out of the game for a while, but I don't know if it's growing in popularity because people don't use that many checks anymore. They don't know how they work anymore. Yeah, so like it might be actually easier to do check fraud today because somebody that's maybe 21, 22 years old starting off in a bank doesn't know they don't use checks. They don't know what they are. So they wouldn't be able to spot, red flags on a fake one.
It's wild. I just also thought it was like double terrible because I was sending it to a charity and they intercepted charity money. And I cannot imagine I'm the only check I'm not the only grandmother that sends a check to the rescue mission still.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I would still claim it on my taxes as a charitable contribution to a criminal though.
Oh.
Nice. So if you don't mail the contract, you email the contract, can it still be mail fraud, or did we just find another loophole that we should be emailing all of our contracts?
Nope. Wire fraud. That's wire fraud.
Wire fraud. Oh, they thought of everything. Yep. Darn. Okay.
I had a question on some of these crimes, financial crimes. I was curious if there's a subjective element to it. For example, my friend someone that I know, someone that I heard about, got in trouble during COVID for price gouging masks. They were charging way too much, maybe like 1,000%, maybe like $20 a mask or something like that. That might be not 1,000%. And I was curious, what is the law there with something along the lines of price gouging?
Like I was involved in antitrust cases, Antitrust is like companies not competing with each other. So what could happen in price gouging is that all the companies, like all the Walgreens and Rite Aids, get together and they say, okay, we're going to charge, $10 for this greeting card, which I think that's probably what they cost nowadays anyway. But and so then you're getting gouged, but it's a result of a conspiracy between competitors, meaning you're not. It's not in the consumer's best interest at that point. So then the government steps in and breaks it up.
Got it. So it's it's probably case by case, depending on there being a threshold in which someone's like, okay, this is taking advantage, because we've all gone to Disney parks, we've all gone to like theme parks and airports or whatnot, and that's all acceptable to have this convenience charge where they lock us in a room where we can't leave and we have to pay their prices.
I don't know what kind of vacations you're going on, but
well, I'm just saying, just the food court at the airport is more, and I'm cheap. I'll be honest with you.
This sounds like an escape room, not a Disney park. But
you can't leave an airport. You checked in. You got to stay there. You got to pay their premiums.
JP just found the loophole of how we bring our own class action lawsuit against all airports for price gouging.
Either that, or I bring my food truck in the airport and I start selling my own food.
I think that would be a red flag.
I don't know if that'll fly.
No pun intended.
Yeah, well intended.
I think that was totally intended.
Oh, okay.
Burn. Okay.
I dig. I dig your spirit.
It's a new frontier.
Yo! Oh, man.
At least we're all united on this.
And then Tar's like, American Airlines.
Southwest. This conversation's gone real south.
That's the only
West.
American.
But I think something slipped by us, Stephen, when you said a moment ago that you've been out of the loop for a while, and I see the brick wall in the background. I mean, that's not like a prison cell or anything.
Yeah, I'm calling for my federal. The most qualified one to talk on this stuff.
No, are you kidding me? Steven's got a Pinterest background. What are you talking about? That looks beautiful.
He's got the greenery.
That looks beautiful.
Yeah, you got a plant. So, Stephen, we talked about how these things, actually happen, whether it be across state lines or, wire and all that. How is it investigated these days?
Well, there's always like the old school stuff, and that's, surveillance, interviewing witnesses, forensic accounting. I mean, those have always been the classics. When I got involved in it right around 2003, my specialty was in computer forensics. So this would be getting hard drives, getting servers that either the FBI had raided or taken, and they didn't have enough people to do analysis. So we had a contract with the state where, I would do the analysis and pull evidence off those computers. So you're looking for emails, you're looking for internet searches at the time, and anything else that may corroborate or exonerate, a defendant at that point, like any kind of evidence that might apply to whatever crime you're looking for.
And is there someone special that you hire for these investigations?
Me.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, we were like you would back in the day in those. I did it from about 2003 till 2014, and you would hire a computer forensic specialist. Now, since then, software has gotten a little bit better because the server software and operating systems, you'd have to pull that manually, which is what I did. Even if it was deleted, I could still get it back, whatever, those stories that you hear, like it's never really deleted. So I could get that stuff back. But nowadays, your IT administrator has a lot of those tools at the click of a button. They've built it and integrated it all into server systems now. So you don't really need a specialist unless you need them to testify, which is, what you get paid for, really.
I do. This really does apply to my kind of like my life right now, and I could use your service. I'm wondering if you guys can track locations of individuals based on like internet protocol addresses.
Are you trying to find me?
Yeah, you could. I mean, you would just really use Google for that. Like, there's I mean, Google.
I can do this myself. I can find this person myself.
Yeah, because the other thing is you'd have to get the owner of the IP address, and then you would subpoena them. So if the owner was Verizon, you would subpoena Verizon. Verizon would tell you who had that IP address at the date and time you're looking for, and then they would be the ones to give you a physical location of where that logged in from. So there's a lot of legal process to go through to eventually get to that information.
Okay, well, all I have right now is a Google account, like a YouTube comment. Let's say a commenter that is, let's say hypothetically.
This is seriously all about angry comments. This is all about angry. You're wasting our time with angry comments.
No. Trust. This is a serious topic here, and I did see Lover, Killer, Stalker on Netflix, and that is about a real story where they caught the guy, I don't want to spoil it for those that are tuning in. They caught him based on the investigator in the precinct was one of the IT guys, literally tracked the person where they lived, and then they found out, oh my gosh, that is someone they knew. So in a similar situation, I don't want to indulge too much, but I might be going through a lawsuit myself. Surprise!
It's the stalker or stalky.
And part of my case would be helpful if I knew who this anonymous person was, because that could then prove someone lying under oath during a deposition. That's all.
So you want to do the plot of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? That's what
I mean, we need to bring that back. Kevin Smith has been he's lost his way. No offense, Kevin Smith, but he's lost his way a little bit, and I think we need to bring him back to the Silent Bob that he used to be. So,
yeah.
Wow.
Hopefully, no. There's no way to get a physical address from an IP address. Easy way. I'm going to say there's the legal way to do it, and then there's no other way. That's what I'm going to say.
And all right. So the legal way, and then all right. Good to know.
Yeah, because with IP addresses, you could bounce that off of a VPN, and it's like got an IP address from another continent, and even though they're right next door to you.
Yeah, they're in Antarctica.
I don't think they're that savvy, though. I really don't. I think that I have a good idea. I just need proof, and that's how our legal system works these days. You can do whatever you want, but if you don't have proof, you're kind of SOL.
All that being said, JP, there should be a knock at your door in about 2 minutes.
I hope it's my Uber Eats. Okay, let's be honest. Like, I just ordered, so
that would have been funny if it actually was a knock at your door.
Yeah, right.
So I have a question, Stephen. Okay, so you're a financial investigator, right? Like private investigator, correct?
I was. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So like a regular private investigator, do you also have to wear disguises?
And are you wearing one right now?
Come on. You can tell us. I want to know how many wigs and fake mustaches you have.
No, none. I can't even grow a regular mustache.
That's why you need fake ones.
Yeah, I just body shame. My body's like, you grew 3 chins. We don't have enough space for a mustache. But
that's why I grow a beard.
There's not a lot of need for it. When you're doing surveillance, like your car is your biggest blending device. So, you just got a regular nondescript minivan or regular van, and usually smoked out windows. You're not really confronting people if you're doing surveillance. You're not. And we had a few investigators, so we would rotate if we were. Like if somebody said that they couldn't lift a gallon of milk, we'd follow them in the grocery store, right? And I'd follow them once, they don't do the gallon of milk. Then the next guy would follow them in the next time they go to the grocery store. So you rotate people as best you can and just try not to be seen.
So if I think I'm being watched by a financial private investigator, I should look in their car, and if there's like a lot of calculators on the front seat, I should be like, ha, that's a financial private investigator.
Yeah, but that could just also be an Asian person.
Hey, and whatever you do not pick up a gallon of milk in front of if you think you're being followed. That's what I just learned. So.
Well, we did. I should clear. We did a lot of other cases like medical malpractice and workers' comp fraud and stuff, other than finance stuff. So. But the finance ones, they were the fun ones. They paid the bills. We had one involving like one of the three major sports, here in the U.S. And there was a finance company that took care of the rookies' financial education. So any rookies that went into this league, they would have like a year's worth of seminars as to how to invest their money, what scams and all this stuff. And it becomes ironic because that finance company ends up, scamming the major league. Yeah. And they do this by their original deal was with the league's lawyer. The league's lawyer passes away. And they start, they become under investigation for some other things. But part and parcel to that, they're like, what is this contract and why is it, 3 times the amount that it used to be? And it turns out that somehow they got the lawyer that passed away. They got his driver's license, got his signature, lifted it off with Photoshop, put it on a brand new contract with 3 times the amount of money and sent it back over to them, to approve. And, they ended up. So when they got the computers, like, that's what I found. Like, they're like, hey, did this company do that? And I was able to see the little image of that they saved of the signature, the image of the driver's license, that kind of stuff. And then, emailing it off. So that becomes wire fraud because it went across state lines. But, it's cases like that where you got to watch everything going through, I guess.
I missed most of that because in my head, I'm trying to figure out what are the 3 big sports.
Is it NASCAR?
It's NASCAR. It's got to be NASCAR.
Yeah. Well, football, baseball, pickleball. I think those are the 3.
There you go.
Pickleball.
It's kind of amazing to me, though, that like with a crime that I'm sure was how much, like, was this billions of dollars? How much was this this?
No. So the original contract, let's say per year for this financial education for the rookies. Now they did other work for this too, but that was like $400,000 a year. So then all of a sudden their contract after this lawyer passed away went up to, $1.2 million a year. And that's like specific fraud. I would say most times, and I have a few other cases I can talk about, but most times when people get into financial crimes, they don't mean to get into it. And I've talked to a lot of defendants, a lot of people that have done this, is that they usually think that, hey, this company or this investment is going to take off, and they get excited about it. And that's how they're able to sell it to people. And then what happens is it doesn't. So now, instead of facing the facts that it's a failure, they get another round of investors, and they start paying the first ones, and now they're just in over their head. So now they're just trying to, keep up until eventually they get caught. Obviously, that's the base of a pyramid, is how that happens. But most people that particular one, they just wanted to commit fraud. They knew they were committing fraud, and It was hands down, and the guy ended up going to jail. But most people, like this one in Florida that I did, it was real estate. And, this guy had this idea that everybody can pay into one fund, like my grandparents, my aunt and uncle and stuff. And they can pay into one fund, and we're going to buy a bunch of property. And all this property is going to go, through the roof. And it doesn't. So now they got all this money, they raised like $4 million in the beginning. And so now they just getting what they can from older people. They go to people are, refinancing their homes. They're taking out mortgages just to go ahead and, reinvest with this company. And then you take those second round of people to pay the first round of people. And eventually it catches up with them. And that, a lot of that was, in 2008, 2009, we did a lot of like real estate scams on that. One thing to look for is like documents. When you invest in the second company, when you invest in the company that's going to, sell a bunch of real estate, they're going to give you a promissory note that's going to say, hey, you own this parcel, so any money you invest with us, $200,000, you're going to own this parcel. So if something goes south, you can sell this piece of property and make your money back. The thing is, they did that same piece of property for, 1,000 people that invested in it, so when everything went south, of course, now there's 1,000 people thinking that they own this one little, piece of property in Florida, and it's really not true. So,
I mean, their first mistake was buying something in Florida. Would be my guess.
Yeah, right. I don't know. We did a credit union with kickbacks. This is always a fun one, where basically this guy's in charge of a big credit. It's still to this day the largest credit union failure in the U.S. And it was here where I live. This guy just basically had a slush fund for his buddies that had these companies. And so the companies, they couldn't get regular financing from a bank. So they go to this guy who's basically selling loans. So if you want $100,000 to make your payroll, you go, you fill out the application, then they give you $100,000 right off the top. You got to do a $10,000 check right back to that president of the credit union that gave you the loan. So that's his slush fund now because you couldn't get approved anywhere else. So, he writes over, $100 million worth of these bad loans to companies. So I would say like another red flag is like if you're thinking of investing or talking to someone and their funding isn't clear, like you don't really know where it's coming from. How did this guy get approved? Why isn't he using a real bank? And maybe like their relatives' names are on some of the documents, like relatives or like, oh, well, you're like, whose name is that? I'm dealing with you. Like, oh, my cousin is partnered with this, or something like that. Those are definitely like red flags. Like, and I don't know, like those people, they're in jail too. It became, again, it really hurt a lot of people because at the end of the day, he's giving out loans to all these companies that are really doing nothing, thinking that eventually maybe these people will pay back, but everyone that had deposits there lost their money.
The situation you're describing sounds exactly like every comedy producer I've ever worked with.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say the common denominator of everything you've talked about is men, is what I'm going to say.
It's male fraud.
Male fraud.
Male fraud.
But what Tara failed to mention was the men were so sad and depressed from the female. It led them to...
I spent $150 on dinner, and now I have to defund your grandma's will.
There is one loophole, though. I kind of, as I was like kind of filtering through the stories you talked about. No, the loophole is no one's going to be surprised by this. Religion is religion. We worked. So all those other cases that I just talked about, people are in jail or they went to jail and now they're out. But we worked this one case of a pastor in a pretty affluent suburb here, and he used the church's funds as like his own kind of slush fund. He had a discretionary fund, and he funded the high school band, because his kid was in band. If he ever went on a trip that was approved by the church council, then he would upgrade himself to first class, at the airport. Like he wouldn't do it when they bought the ticket, but he would do it at the airport later on. And then like lunches every day. I mean, it ended up being in the hundreds of thousands of dollars over like 4 years.
Exposed.
But here's the thing, like because it's religion, they kind of keep that in-house, and they had like a tribunal diocese that basically just kicked him out of the church. But there were no charges, no law enforcement ever involved. And now he's just the pastor of another church. And this was the second time it happened to him.
But there is the lighter side of finance, which you can get all the juicy gossip right here.
I don't know what this voice is, but I don't like it.
No, it's just like it's a promo. Like honestly, like Steven, the stuff like that is so precious. Like Clem, Tara, Bill, none of us would have ever heard of this, and now I can call my mom, and be like, "Hey, Mom, I'll only tell you when you go to church." Like don't you know what I mean? Like I like tithing. Anyway,
Like that's what's crazy is there's so many documentaries on these like cults in these churches, and what you said is like they don't get prosecuted, right? Because everybody's embarrassed that they put in all this money and gave this money to a charlatan, and then they're just like, "Oh, could you just go away?" And they're like, "Sure, let me go do it again." Like I just, it's amazing to me how bad men are.
Ow!
Oh no, Tara doesn't mean that.
All right. Well, speaking of how bad men are, Steven, you've been talking a lot about slush funds here. How would I go about starting a slush fund for myself and funding it? If it helps, I am an ordained minister, so I think you gave me some ideas here.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because I do have an investment opportunity for the three of you. If sentence ever starts off with that, never listen. But
yeah.
You got us excited, Steven.
It's literally Yeah, just getting people, it's hard enough to get people at comedy shows, but it seems easy to get them to a church. So just invent some kind of compelling story and have them there and they'll give you your money. That seems pretty easy.
But it seems like, though, like you said, Stephen, in this day and age, everybody, or, a lot of these bad guys, we'll say, don't necessarily intend to be bad from the get-go. It's, one, domino effect of things that happen. And then the unpredictable nature of even where we are with technology and where things are. I mean, wasn't it a couple of years ago? Was it GameStop, a stock that all of a sudden shot through the roof just because of, trading on phones, or
Reddit.
was that
Reddit.
through
Reddit?
Reddit.
Oh, that was
Yep.
Reddit stock. Yeah, that's what it was. Reddit.
Still an influence through social media.
Yeah. So with influence, anything can happen. It can go up or down.
Yeah, it happens all the time. I mean, obviously Elon Musk puts a tweet out. I think it just happened yesterday or the day before where a story came out that Tesla wasn't doing something and Elon Musk said absolutely not true. So it, the stock just on one tweet or, X post, whatever you want to call it, bounced right back up. So it's
trade off of his tweets.
Yeah, it's much easier and it's much faster these days. I mean, I'm not really a trader, but the people doing the trades are computers. So, and they're picking up on these trends much, much faster than they used to on a trading floor. So I think that's why the swings are sometimes so volatile.
Plus, there's tons of scanners and literally computer generated algorithms that people create based on parameters they want to trade off of. So there's so much of this program right now that people can just, like a video game, just say, hey, I want to mid cap with this much volume and this much float, and then just trades automatically. Their win-lose, their success rate is greater than their loss rate, and then they just compoundedly make money over time. It's pretty bizarre.
I don't understand how that's our financial system. That seems crazy to me. It does seem like you're talking about a video game.
Yeah,
right?
trading seems like a giant casino that's regulated for everyone to do.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It really is, though. I'm not even going to lie. And then the bigger companies are market movers. They're able to actually kind of influence the way the market moves, just because we're us little guys trading is a very, if we want to be like a Warren Buffett, I think that's great. We find something that we believe in and we love and we just put our money there. But if you want to be a day trader, a swing trader, you are competing, you are behind you're just behind. You're behind everybody. And I don't advise that on this channel. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do not advise people, even with disposable income, to become day traders. I think that is we're at a disadvantage. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm saying that we're at a disadvantage being us, just a little person in our room with a pickleball paddle. Okay?
For entertainment
We don't have an
purposes
advantage.
only.
We can't beat them. We can't. We can scalp, but we can't beat them.
Yeah, in the modern world of AI, artificial intelligence, all that we have at our back is organic stupidity. So that AI is going to win every time.
Yeah, they say there's a cost to every education. So whether you take out a student loan or whether you lose thousands trying to day trade, that's what it's going to cost you to eventually figure it out.
To learn. Yeah.
I did, interestingly, the case that was involving the sports league, I had to go to New York to testify, and it was Southern District of Manhattan. And that's where a lot of terrorists and stuff are in there. It's the big court.
We know.
Yeah, it's the big courtroom. Yeah, that you see. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, out of the courtroom next to us, all this paparazzi comes out of it. All these people, and I'm sitting next to the prosecutor. I look over. I said, who is that?" And he goes, "That was Bernie Madoff." And so that's kind of my cool story is I was in the courtroom next to Bernie Madoff.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for being a part of our program today. And, for our viewers that just joined us halfway in, it's Stephen Prince, Director of Compliance and previously a private investigator of financial crimes. And hopefully none of us are currently under investigation. Although you probably wouldn't share that with us if you.
I can't say.
This is a good cover for you, Oh, come on as a guest, and then
Next week I'll come back with a mustache.
Yay!
I'm going to throw it around to our panelists. Any last words or questions for Stephen?
Thank you for inspiring me to become a woman of God.
I'm not sure if I should laugh.
Stephen, for purposes of the lighter side of finance and my nostalgia, I wanted to bring up a moment in a movie that I didn't get as a kid, and I'm curious your thoughts on it. But the movie's called Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. And at the very end of the movie, they spend all of the money in the briefcase, but they wrote IOUs. So I was curious, how valid is that of a, you know what I mean? Like, if you're in a situation, does that hold any validity?
Yeah, man, you can hang them on your prison cell wall. That's where they go. Finders keepers, that's what I say.
Yes, I like that. That's a great answer.
Oh, you just weaponized JP. That's what you just did.
Yeah, Stephen, I think this was a great episode here, and I think I've learned some things, as always. And, I think some of these things I might use, and some of them I might not admit to using. But, I think there's definitely some room for loopholes to be exposed and marketed. So, we'll see where life goes here. But, I appreciate your time here and teaching us a few things that we might be able to use. And maybe, hopefully, you won't see me in the future in one of your investigations from it. So.
This was great. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right. And any closing words from our panelists as we wrap up this episode?
Stay honest. What?
No, sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. Sorry. That was out of line.
No, it's yeah, I think that's good advice. Like, yeah, it doesn't hurt.
You should be like, stay honest, Your Honor.
This has been the Lighter Side of Finance podcast. Our executive producer is Billy C. Production assistance by Sam Moody. Our opening music is from BillClantonMusic.com. I'm your AI announcer. I am nobody, literally. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Lighter Side of Finance wherever you find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to visit our website, thelightersideoffinance.com. This podcast is not financial advice. It is for entertainment purposes only. It is intended for you to laugh your assets off. Viewers and listeners, be advised.